movement has to come through. It has to happen somehow. Chiron in Sagittarius is wounding with your sense of optimism, philosophy, beliefs as well, where you sense you probably questioned your belief system, whatever. It could be religion, it could be your own philosophy, it could be your own beliefs. Like, it's kind of like, because Uranus is the earth shaker, and Saturn is like the limiter. It's like, I mean, you can see this, if you can imagine this, transition, and this is Chiron. Chiron is basically almost like that. Yeah, it's the bridge. Chiron goes like, right? So like I mentioned, Chiron is the bridge. So in this case, Sagittarius wants to explore, wants to go through, wants to experience life through. This is where actually becoming more like action. But in this case, maybe there's a limitation to that. Right? Chiron rules also the legs, so action, right? Sagittarius rules the legs. That's medical. So you see even if it's not analogical, yeah, even if it's not an analogous, and even if it's not an analogy, Chiron in Sagittarius tells us to slow down. Maybe there's a way to go around this and say head in a different direction. Right? But always in this case it could also mean that maybe going in different directions you can't be aimless in this case. You have to be aimless at some point, but also trust that when you become aimless, you're trusting it, because optimism is similar. There's a similar energy to optimism and trust. But if it's just blind optimism, blind faith, right, can't happen. It has to have a purpose behind it. There has to be like the time to have an aim, meaning not necessarily a goal in mind, but like when you have a plan, there's a difference between having a plan and then having a goal. It's okay to have those goals, but when we become so obsessed with it, it becomes like this sort of like, we start to control things. And Sagittarius can also be a bit controlling, a little bit. Or maybe, depends on your placement, depending on your experience in life, depending on your journey. Okay? So, Chiron. In Sagittarius. So Chiron then in Capricorn is reputation, similar to my 10th house stuff. It's just wounding with your success. Maybe you never had really a lot of success in life. Achievements becomes kind of, you never finish things. When you believe that you don't finish things, or things kind of put you off, it's like, I don't know, or something to do with your career, anything related to career, anything related to maybe a parent that financially provides for you. So maybe this might lead to, similar to Taurus, like a loss of something, like maybe money, right? And loss of probably one of your grandparents, or maybe both grandparents. But in this case, it's also with discipline. I feel like if you have loss in discipline, that sounds kind of weird, meaning that you feel like you've not had this ability to commit to things. It's almost similar to Juno. So, but Chiron in Capricorn is this sort of, again, this reputation. It's also your ego, similar to Aries, in a way, similar to Leo. Wounding of how the world sees you as well. How you kind of, it's similar to the ascendants as well in this case. It's like, but it's more like how you relate with the world and how the world sees you in that case. Ascendant is more like how you just package yourself, and this is what you see. But midheaven or 10th house or Capricorn is similar in this case, where it's like your relationship with the world, the public, right? In a way, it's sort of similar to the moon as well, because the moon is, but that's more of it. That's mundane astrology. So in any case, Chiron then in Aquarius is your woundedness with communities, your social experiences your friendships, a relationship with people, a society in general. Not necessarily like the public itself in terms of reputation, but your hopes and your aspirations. It feels like you've not had those experiences. You probably also had uh, issues with or wounding of loss of uh, like ideas, or like this, you maybe your intellect kind of gets affected. You know, science kind of seems a little too foreign for you. It's like kind of like you know, it's like you want to, right? So again, Chiron is the bridge between the material world and the transition into change. Right? So matter and then change. So stability, change. This is similar. Okay. Then finally, Chiron in Pisces is definitely a loss of more than faith. It's like idealism. It's your sense of greater than purpose. It's very Neptunian. It's very like probably artistic abilities, your ability to probably there's a block with psychic abilities, similar to actually probably with any of the water signs like Cancer and Scorpio. So, and also, yes, faith as well and beliefs. Maybe not necessarily a belief system, but like your own spirituality itself, your own. But probably you have nightmares, like it's just, or probably the opposite, not able to dream. You're not able to see things from a very, you know, this is, instead of having illusions and dreams and fantasies, it's the opposite. You have delusions and nightmares and all those things. So Chiron in there, in Pisces also is wounding in the greatest purpose, like the greatest purpose, where kind of where your spirituality lies within your connection with your divinity. Because Pisces rules, Pisces is the sign of idealism, right? Pisces is the sign of, I'm getting tempted to look into my books. Pisces is of optimism and belief and faith and just trust, like divine trust is like that connection with your the ether, your higher self. So probably there's a disconnection, or rather you think there's a disconnection because you've lost that, and things become sort of like you feel like you're stuck on Earth. And it's like, I don't know where to go, and you know, it's weirder than weird, and it feels like, or the opposite, it's like it feels so mundane that you're just like, I don't know where I'm going. Right? It's similar to if you had Pluto as well in an aspect to Chiron, but in this case it's Neptune to Chiron. So the world of the unseen world becomes sort of disconnect to you, and because it's like maybe you've had experiences with probably maybe groups that that you thought were good for you, that you thought, or people wounding with like your own belief about, like I say, an organized belief, or in a person who has been spiritual counsel to you. Many things that relate to Pisces. Freedom as well is also ties in here as well. The flow of life feels like maybe you don't have a lot of freedom to be your own divine self, you feel like an alien in this world as well. So that could also happen. Again, all these depends on where Chiron is placed in your chart, what house it's in, if it's aspected to the angular houses, first house, fourth house, seventh house, and 10th house, or to any other planets and whatever sign it's in. Of course, all together. Yeah. So that's all. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that was something else, because I wasn't really planning on doing it all planets in order. In any case, like and subscribe. Comments down below if you have any questions that you're like itching to ask. I know there's a lot of YouTubers out there that post many of the things, but wounding, it's a big thing. But we're all in this together, right? So